Joining me in studio now is Staff Sergeant and Detachment Commander John Paul Graham from Huntsville OPP. Thank you very much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man, so we'll get right down to it. So recently there was the announcement that there was a pretty significant drug bust involving Muskoka and Simcoe area.
Yes, there was. There was a project called Shoreham that started off in June of this year, or July of this year. One of the reasons why this project became a success is some collaboration between Barrie City Police and the OPP street crime unit within Muskoka. After the recent deaths that we've had this year, certainly in May, within a week and a half, we had 3 deaths ranging between a 50-year-old to a 20-year-old on fentanyl and an opioid issue that we're having across the province and across the country. So we started looking at what we can do proactively in the collaboration between the services, and not only the services, but within the healthcare system, on how we are able to combat drug use in Muskoka. We are heavily influenced by the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. And so having Highway 11 here is a double-edged sword, because it is a conduit for traffickers, for drug running up here. And it's and for us in Huntsville, we also have a corridor to Ottawa through Highway 60.
Yep. So
we are not immune to having traffickers and dealers coming up here and preying on the most vulnerable people that we have in our community, because the face of an addict is not traditional to what we are, what we know.
Yes, the stereotype of, we were saying, you know, the toothless person that's, you know, withered up and everything like that. Yeah. That's not a real stereotype.
It is not a real stereotype. And then these dealers are only out for the money.
Yeah.
Where, you know, we're looking at, you know, we have a role to play within dealing with the sale of narcotics in our communities. And we're looking at trying to disrupt that drug culture in our communities, and I think we've done that.
Yeah.
We've done that, and we've done some significant busts up in the Huntsville area and Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, Barrie, and Angus, stretching out to Wasaga Beach. We executed approximately 28 search warrants.
Yep.
From November 1st to November 7th.
Yeah. One of those I remember we were talking about specifically was in the Huntsville area as well.
Yeah, we looked at doing a couple of search warrants in Silver Sands Trailer Park in the Huntsville area, as well as other locations within Huntsville, Bracebridge, and Gravenhurst. We utilized not only the drug units, we utilized our tactical units, because, you know, within the seizures that we end up getting from Muskoka area, there was firearms involved. With the drug culture and the trades of drugs, there is an element of violence with dealers,
yep.
With the suppliers, and certainly we seized a number of narcotics, from fentanyl, meth, cocaine, predominantly. And then drugs or cash, and then the guns and some vehicles as well. Along with that, you know, with this 4-month project, we're up to $1 million+
yep.
that we've taken away from this organized element.
I mean, it looked, you know, I looked at the map, and you have the distribution centers as Barrie and Aurelia, and then the sort of hot spots of distribution was actually Wasaga, you know, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, Huntsville. I mean, people know that it's happening, but when you look at that map and you actually see it, you know, as like verified evidence, it just hits home more that we have a big problem here.
Yeah, we certainly have a problem across the province in Canada, and I think you know, police agencies across this nation have now come to terms that we have to work together.
Yeah.
As the enterprise of the drug trade and criminal elements are growing and are networking together, we as police agencies have to do the same thing. But we've actually expanded that scope of bringing in partnerships in the collaboration of this war on drugs, because it's just not necessarily a policing issue.
No.
We need to be able to bring in our healthcare providers through Canadian Mental Health and Addiction Services,
Yeah.
the hospitals, as well as the health unit. And we look at the spectrum of the enforcement, prevention, harm reduction, education, engagement, because it makes sense. You know, this project has caused a disruption,
Yep.
a pause in the drug culture within Muskoka and South Simcoe. But, you know, we can't stop. There's so much more work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
There is a web of leads that we're following as a result of this project. So this pause will allow us to create more barriers for people to not look at coming up to our community to set up and to exploit people that are addicted
Yeah.
to these narcotics, and have our community partners such as Canadian Mental Health and Addiction Services and the health units to be able to provide opportunities for supports for individuals that really are at the vice of these narcotics.
Well, it sends a message, as you know. I think the chief in Barrie was saying the message is that we're not open for business for drug trade, and that's the message obviously we want to get across. The point that you had made earlier, which I actually found very interesting, and things that we don't think about in this sense, is that you've cut the vein of drug trafficking for now, but that means that there are people that are now even more vulnerable because they're not getting the fix that they need, right? Yeah. And so now they're going to need help. And you were telling me that part of your duty now, as in that Simcoe Muskoka opioid strategy group, is to reach out to these community members and kind of let them know, right? So tell me a bit more about that side.
Yeah, you know what, we're certainly very inclusive and transparent now of what we're doing. Where, you know, my 22 years of policing, we said it's not our problem. We do our job and then that's it. But we recognize now that what we do, there is an effect. There's a cause and effect for what we do. And so after we executed the final search warrants in the Huntsville and Bracebridge area on the 7th of November, the first thing that I did was on the phone with my counterparts, with the Executive Director of Canadian Mental Health and Addiction Services, the hospital, and the Chief of the Paramedics, and talking about trying to create strategies on being able to support people that now are limited to accessing the narcotics that they need.
Yeah. Their body needs.
Their body needs, because, you know, it alters a state of mind. You know, just think about getting up in the morning and not being able to eat or drink water, and it's going to come time where you're going to be desperate.
Yeah,
it's the fight or flight, and we're going to be desperate. And so when people are desperate, we see acts of violence increase, we see property crimes increase, and we were seeing that before the summer, before this project. And even throughout this project, we were seeing certain acts of violence, from assaults with the weapons to even property crimes of people stealing things that weren't basically bolted down to the ground to support their habits. But now we've seen really nothing in terms of crime related to drugs. Yeah. But that's just the pause.
Well, John Paul, we need to go to break, unfortunately, and I know there's so much more to discuss on this issue, and I wish we could. We'll probably bring you in again to talk more about what's going on with this as more develops. But we really appreciate everything you guys have done. I think it's something that doesn't come across a lot, that the community appreciates, that you guys are working so hard to protect us and keep our property and ourselves safe. So thank you very much for what you guys do.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think, just like I said before, it's your community and it's our community, and we want to make sure that we protect what we value the most.